Welcome, fellow explorers. My name is Christian Alexanderson, and this is Hemlocks to Hellbenders, a podcast highlighting Pennsylvania's parks, forests, and great outdoors. Driving down Route 44 from Lycoming County to Montgomery County, you may be able to spot a brief break in the trees and rhododendrons. It's so quick that if you blink, you'll miss it. But if you slow down, you'll see that it's one of the smallest state parks in all of Pennsylvania. As you pull into the gravel parking lot, you'll notice a few things. You'll see a couple picnic tables, a few signs, and a quiet stream. Look all the way to the left, and then all the way to the right. That's it. That is Upper Pine Bottom State Park. When I first visited the park in 2021 while I was running a mile in all then 121 state parks, a park ranger at Little Pine State Park asked if I was visiting Upper Pine Bottom next. "You're going to run a mile at Upper Pine Bottom?" he asked with a smile. I answered, "Yeah, why?" And he just laughed and said, "Good luck." When I got to the park a few minutes later, I got the joke. This park is tiny, not small, tiny. A gentleman was fishing when I first arrived to run my mile. As it was 90 plus degrees, I took my shirt off and started running laps in the small parking lot to get my necessary mile. The older man, seeing some crazy unshirted man jogging laps, just picked up his gear and left, leaving with a story he may still be telling to this day. I know I do. So why do an episode on this park if it's so small? Because I firmly believe that all of our state parks matter. They may not all be great, but they all matter. Also, what better park to feature on our April Fool's episode? I want to make this episode as short as the park is small. But before we learn more about the park, here's the stats. Upper Pine Bottom State Park is a 5-acre park located in Lycoming County. Available activities include hiking, hunting, fishing, picnicking, wildlife viewing, and winter activities. A notable feature of the park is that it serves as a gateway to Ty State Forest. The park is named after the Upper Pine Bottom Run that goes through the park. Nearby towns include Lock Haven and Renovo. State lands that are close by include State Game Land 75, 89, and 114, as well as Little Pine, Heiner Run, and Heiner View State Parks, and Ty State Forest. You may enjoy this park if you enjoy a nice spot to picnic. I'm excited to welcome Haley Redmond to the podcast. Haley is the manager of the Little Pine State Park Complex. Haley, thanks so much for joining the program again.
Happy to be here again. Thank you.
How would you describe the park to someone who's never been there before?
I would describe it as in the middle of nowhere and surprising.
How do you see most people use Upper Pine Bottom?
Picnicking is typically what people do when they're down at Upper Pine Bottom. And there's also fishing opportunities as well. So I have seen many people fishing down there.
How does Upper Pine Bottom function as a gateway or access point into the larger Ty State Forest for hikers, riders, or cross-country skiers?
Yeah, it is pretty close to a couple trails, the Plantation Trail and Ott Fork Trail. So a lot of people can have the opportunity to park at Upper Pine Bottom and then go on those trails. But they are beautiful trails. And I think that's how I would describe it, as more of a gateway. You park and then you head on in.
Yeah, the first time I went there, I actually drove past it because I think it's right around a turn, and if you're going, if you blink, you're going to miss this place.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Especially the sign exists, but even the sign, you're like, wait a second, did I just pass the state park?
It's no Little Pine. Let me put it like that.
Exactly. It's Upper Pine.
Do you have any trail recommendations near the park?
Yeah, Ott Fork Trail. It is absolutely beautiful. It's another, I think, actually, I've hiked it a few times. It is a Trout Unlimited stream, I believe. They got involved at some point and did, I don't know if it was habitats for the brook trout. I believe it was habitats, but it is definitely a beautiful trail. It gets a little warm in the summertime because you are completely surrounded by trees. It's not as steep as some of the trails in the area usually are, so you really are down by the creek the whole way. But it's stunning. It's beautiful, clear mountain water, native brook trout. It's beautiful.
Upper Pine Bottom Run flows through the park. What kinds of fish do anglers have the opportunity to catch?
Native brook trout, and a lot of people go for them.
One of the things I would say too, that I kind of have this weird love and affinity for Upper Pine Bottom. One of the reasons I love it is because it really proves the idea that every state park has its own function. Like
Hmm.
there are places that are made to go see old growth forests. There are places that are made to see these beautiful waterfalls and these amazing canyons. And then there's places that are only a couple acres big to just have a picnic by a stream.
Hmm.
I think that's really great.
Yeah, that's what I love about it too. And it really is, minus the cars that go by. Yeah, there's a couple cars every once in a while, but it is really quiet. It is peaceful, and you get to listen to the mountain stream and have your, picnic. And maybe you don't stay long, but you definitely get to experience what state parks are and what state forests are as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a good spot to hit as you're going to different places. If you're on your way from Little Pine to the Heiner parks,
Exactly.
it's a good
Yeah.
place to just, especially listen. If you're a person that has a stamp passport for the Pennsylvania Parks and Forest Foundation, and you need to hit every park, you're going to go to Upper Pine Bottom anyway. So you might as well pack a lunch and have a nice little afternoon there.
Exactly. Yeah, and bring your fishing pole and like splash around in the creek too, because it's clear, crystal clear and nice and cool. It's perfect in the summertime.
Do you have any tips for people who plan on visiting the park, or any suggestions to make their visit as enjoyable as possible?
Yeah, definitely just stop. And just stop and take a minute, take in the air, especially if you're going from Little Pine, like you said, to Heiner. It really encompasses like what the PA Wilds are too. It's not very big, obviously, but it does still offer everything you would want in your visit to the PA Wilds and your visit to the Little Pine Complex. I personally also love it. I think it's adorable. And it actually used to have a pavilion. So that's a little bit of a history of what used to be there. It doesn't exist anymore, obviously, and I can't say whether or not we'll ever get one again because I don't know. But really, park, go on Ott Fork, take Plantation Trail up the mountain a little bit, and just enjoy your time in the forest because it's definitely enjoyable.
Haley, thanks so much for talking to us again. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
I want to thank my guest, Haley Redmond, for joining the podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Meta for more information about upcoming episodes. You can support the podcast by buying merch at hemlockstohellbenders.com, or you can click support this show in the podcast description to provide a monthly donation. This has been Hemlocks to Hellbenders. I'll see you out there. Hosting, production, and editing by Christian Alexanderson. Music by John Sauer. Graphics by Matt Davis.